Blaster Master, which I frequently transpose as Blaster Master Blaster, so Stevie Wonder would be proud. When I think of this game, I always go back to the NES, where I first ran into it. I have fond memories of it, and that brief but potent intro sets it up for something intriguing. Let's follow that frog and see what's going on here. Released in 1988 by Sunsoft, Blaster Master is a platform game in the Metroidvania style. It is made by a part-time team of 5 with the goal to make it the best action game to date. It has expansive maps and exploration as the core of the game. The story is told with kind of opening cinematics. I remember either borrowing the game or renting it, but in either case there was no manual, so the opening was the story. A boy and his pet frog, and the frog escapes, then touches something radioactive, grows big, and then goes down a hole. The boy follows, finds a tank, then gets in and travels off. It was such a great intro to the game that it really stuck out with me. When my kids were really young, I tossed on the game with the kind of the long play and said, check this out. They didn't seem to like it as much as us 80s kids, but for us, it really drove our imagination. The game opens with kind of in a light area that seemingly is outdoors, yet they're underground. But the game has 8 different areas, each of which kind of has a theme, like water and ice. Use the tank to kind of explore the overworld until you find what they call a cabin. In the cabin, Jason's kind of takes over and has to kind of work his way through a maze to collect power-ups and search for bosses who have tank parts, so they can upgrade his weapons and everything. The game is non-linear, so meaning you can travel throughout the game. However, in order to make progress, you need to get upgrades at the tank. This makes it kind of more sequential, as you need to tackle the areas in order. There's a lot of back travel to reach areas that you couldn't access the first time you see it. You have to keep track of the mysterious bits so you can kind of come back with the right gear in order to proceed. The bosses are mutants, like what Fred became when he first touched the radioactive stuff, and eventually you even have to fight Fred. After you get all the tank upgrades, it's time to fight the last boss. The last area is brutal, tricky jumps, plenty of spikes, and after working your way there, the final boss of the game is in view. It is quite the battle in 2 parts. The first part's not bad, but there's a lot of button mashing, but the second part, it's very difficult. You have to just shoot forever. But once dead, Jason has finished off the mutants, and he can now put Sophia the tank in a museum. Now let's maybe take a look at what I liked about it. The graphics and music are good. Backgrounds are all different. There's different environments to kind of add to the ambience of the game. I like the exploration. I always wondered what secrets I could find. I think my curiosity has kind of persisted through the years. That's why I think I like the caving videos and on YouTube so much. But upgrading and changing the gameplay, the hover, the wall climbs, the multi-modes and stuff, this all makes the game interesting. And Jason can move outside the tank. This kind of gives you more options and challenges. Same with multiple weapons. That also gives some good options and stuff to work with. Now here's what I thought was a struggle. Some of the enemies are really annoying, like the Psy-Slugs, which kind of look like Dr. Seuss Cybermans. The enemies kind of persist weird. Sometimes they'll leave the screen then freeze where they were in time. They don't just continue moving, which leads to you getting hit. And often the enemies just appear right in front of you and give you no time to dodge. It's also a very long game and quite difficult with no passwords. It does have unlimited continues, but it takes several hours, so that's a lot for one sitting. I remember working out what to do, where to go, so that kind of reduces some of the exploration on future playthroughs. But it's also really hard to dodge the bosses. They're crazy. And the inertia on the vehicle kind of gives it a sense that it's rolling. However, it leads to kind of a lot of mistakes, rolling off the platforms, rolling into things that you want to be, and the ice level is a major pain. Now, back in the day, I remember getting far into the game, but I'm not sure if I beat it at that point. However, later years, I definitely revisited this game to complete the journey. Since then, of course, I've replayed it for this review, and it's still one of my favorites on the system, despite several flaws. Well, thanks for watching. Wait, I wonder how far that hole goes. Let's follow that frog a little further down the hole. Blaster Master Jr., or Boy. Well, this was released in 1991. This one takes a different turn from the NES. They decided it would be all Jason. I guess the tank's in the shop. Well, and beyond that, the game is more akin to Bomberman than Blaster Master. I had access to it, so I gave it a shot. The graphics are reasonable, the music's alright, just not a lot of it. The respawn rate is very nasty, it's very short, and it's very hard to dodge enemies, because you're dodging your own bombs, but the enemies blow up as well. I was making reasonable progress until I ran into the second boss. No matter how many bombs I made it eat, no luck. I found there's no guide for this game, and no big fan base. So I parked this one and proceeded further down the hole. Blaster Master 2. This one's on Genesis. Blaster Master jumped into the 16 bits with this one, and I thought, oh, this is going to be great. The graphics are updated, the tank, and while it had to be remodeled according to the storyline, Sophia the tank was kind of stripped of upgrades by the lightning beams, and Jason had to reassemble it. But once again, there's 8 levels, but this time it's purely linear. This game is very difficult, with enemies just constantly throwing stuff. Jason doesn't heal when he jumps back in the tank, and there's a lot more Jason-only sections in this game. Jason, though, can shoot up and down, which is definitely a welcome change, and very needed. There's also a unique section in the game, like an overhead tank mode, that's very glitchy. Some things hit you, some things don't. Like some bullets will just go straight through, and sometimes the enemies will run into them and they'll glitch you through the walls and teleport you across the screen. The bosses are really annoying, with like a 2D side-scroll battlefield that makes them like difficult to dodge anything in there. Sometimes you can find a safe spot to take them out, but it's really annoying. Most levels you have to kind of just inch along, as there's just hazards everywhere. However, since I discovered this game existed, I wanted to see where it leads. Maybe here's a montage of pain that kind of led to the final boss, which is kind of a weird ogre. Well, I don't think it's as bad as some reviewers say. It's definitely filled with quirks, and under those quirks, there's definitely a Blaster Master game here. Blaster Master Enemy Below was released on Game Boy Color. I found this one, so I thought I need to check it out. This game opens with a lab disaster. No text like the NES opening. We just have to kind of fill in the details. But once again, Jason suits up and starts Sophia. At a glance, it's very similar to the NES game. However, there's a lot of differences. Like the areas are much larger, more maze-like. Since the screen real estate is small, this makes it a challenge to figure out where to go, but luckily people have made maps. This helps a lot. Highly recommend the maps. The mechanics are all the same as the NES, but the challenges are definitely ramped up, and there's new puzzle areas. Well, here's another montage. Let's take a look at it. Let's look at the good. The tank controls are, I think, better than the NES, but the tank is slower. There's a balance of Jason and tank usage. It just feels like Master Blaster, and it looks like Master Blaster, and it sounds like Master Blaster, yet it's a different game. And there's a password system, so you can definitely take some breaks. Now let's look at the bad. The Jason sections are very tedious and long. They just go on forever. The enemies just appear right when you scroll the screen, so there's a ton of cheap shots. Jason's weapons are a joke. They're slow, and the grenades have no range or area effect. You only get 3 levels of gun power until the upgrade right near the end of the game, but even at full power, the gun's worthless. It just misses everything. The levels are big mazes or loops that loop around, so you've got to have those maps. It's an insanely difficult game. I think without save states, You have to be kind of a Rain Man to get through this. I'm just not a massive gamer with crazy dexterity. Alright. There's Master Blaster Blasting Again. This is for the PlayStation 1. I don't have this game, but I found that it was released in 2000, kind of the same as the Game Boy Color one, but it takes place after Jason dies, and his kids, Rodney and Elfie, take over to the fight to fight a resurrected plutonium boss from the NES game. Kind of looks interesting. Now, Master Blaster Overdrive was for the Wii 2, and it was released in 2010. I don't have this one either, but this one's a reimagining of the original game. It looked interesting in the reviews, but also the reviews suggested that it didn't quite capture all the elements the fans were looking for. Now, Blaster Master Zero came out for the Switch. Now, this was released in 2017. This is where I picked up the series again, and this is what really captures what I liked about the game. And then added easy saving, full story with dialogue, fun gameplay, and it wasn't overly difficult. I really liked this game and enjoyed playing it through. It's similar to the NES one, but with all the sweet hookups. I enjoyed the banter between the characters Eve and Fred the Frog. And this one kind of ignited my interest in the series. I think it's probably the best in it. Now, Master Blaster 2 came out in 2019. This continues where Zero left off and adds some new mechanics and tank upgrades. But this led to more challenging sections that were not fun to get through. And while I generally liked it, it wasn't as much fun as Zero. Eve was sick through most of it, which drove the story, but then I missed the banter and the other story elements. Now, Master Blaster 3 was released in 2021, and it's the last series to date. This game kind of really ramps up the challenge, and unfortunately the fun kind of goes down as the challenge went up. But I managed to make my way through all of it except for the extended, after the end credits or some extended bosses. Eventually I just stalled out. I tried it several times and I just lost interest and never returned. But maybe one day I will. Who knows? As you can see, the whole is deep and complex. For this review, I focused on the past and explored the games I never played. This series spans 33 years of my life, and I expect we haven't seen the last of it. Well, something captured my attention many years ago when I saw a boy chasing a frog down a hole. I felt I jumped down there myself, and didn't come back the same. Well, if you're still with me, and haven't blacked out, well, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on another one.